And now for the tale of the tape in this heavyweight showdown between the Skaven, who shall be led by Aerocrastic, and the Beastmen, who are going to be led by a Nippon no Jachi Samurai. So really taking me back to the Shogun 2 days. So as far as the Skaven army goes, up in the Vanguard area, they do have 3 groups of the Gut Runners with Poison, which are really good in this matchup. They don't have the best armor-piercing values, but against the Beastmen, who are mostly a lightly armored roster, they're going to really shine. They're a great counter-skirmishing tool against Centaurs, pretty good against just natural Centaurs. I mean, Centaurs themselves are a decent counter against Gutter Runners. They do have shields and are very quick, but if you use the Gutter Runners a little bit defensively and have overlapping fire with several groups of the Gutter Runners, you can really do a number on those guys. On top of that, they do pretty good damage against Minotaurs, most of the Beastmen infantry with the exception of Bestigors, and yeah, they're just solid little rat boys in this matchup. In the front line, we do have a couple of groups of the Skaven Slave Spears. Looks like in total we're going to be getting 2 spears and 1 Skaven slave over here. So pretty solid stuff. You don't want your more expensive troops, and I mean, even clan rats or plague monk sensor bears, for example, to be taking that initial charge from beastmen. That's one of the big strengths of beastmen infantry. If you look at some gore herds, for example, these bad boys have a charge bonus of 24, relatively high melee attack even for a shielded unit, and they hit kind of hard against the rats with 30 weapon strength. So yeah, they're going to be able to put a hurt even on plague monk sensor bears. If you put sensor bears head to head against like gore herds, they would obviously win, but for the cost, they would take quite a bit of damage. So having the Plague Monk Sensor Bears follow up with the Clan Rats, you'll just let the Skaven Slaves and just the chaff in the front line take that charge. Very, very solid Skaven play here. And from there, you just follow up with your Sensor Bears, your Plague Monks, and even your Clan Rats, depending on how you want to form your front line. So on top of that, he does have the double Hell Pit Abomination. So it looks like we're going to be seeing one of these bad boys right here and one on the other side as well. And they're pretty tough for the Beastmen to take down. Ungor Raiders, I think, are pretty much a must in regards to dealing with these guys. And I think Ungor Raiders are just really good in this matchup in general. They're very good at just shooting at these Skaven skirmishers. And yeah, these Gutter Runners do have physical resist, but even still, you have a pretty good range advantage. I think Ungors have 115 range to the 70 of the Gutter Runners. If you're in a melee fight with the Skaven army, the Ungor Raiders are going to be able to put a massive amount of hurt on the Hell Pit Abominations. But, if they're not answered, these guys are just going to lay a beating on Minotaurs. They're going to tear out the front line, and they're going to be really sticky. These guys have perpetual regeneration. Therefore, they're going to be healing the entire battle. You really, really have to make sure you finish them off. In the back, it looks like Aerocrastic is going to have a Warp Lightning Cannon, Clan Rats with Spears across the board in the back line, which is going to be solid. A decent countermeasure against Centaurs and Poison Hounds and things like that. I mean, Clan Rats with Spears aren't more effective against Poison Hounds than, let's just say, standard Clan Rats, but having the Spears against Centaurs, Minotaurs, and other threats like that, I think is very solid. So that is pretty much it for the Rat Boy army over here. He's got Gutter Runners, Hell Pit Abominations is kind of the name of the game. That's where most of his money is invested. Aside from that, he does, of course, have the Plague Monk Sensor Bear and the Warp Lightning Cannons. For the Beastie Boys, it looks like they're going to have a bit of a frontal vanguard of Ungor Herds and Gore Herds with shields, which are really good. I think if you're going to be playing Beastmen against Skaven, you have to bring Gore Herds with shields, just to kind of respect the skirmishers, because if you don't, you're going to get poisoned, you're going to get dragged through the mud by Gutter Runners, and you're going to have a bad time. So the Hell Pit Abomination is going to be rushing in to get some freebies. The Beastmen army is, very heavily staggered, very much in the kind of Dawi style here. In the back, we do have Ungor Raiders, 1, 2, and 3 groups. So they're going to, their backs are going to be hurting by the end of this battle. Those guys really need to get that pepper on top of those Hell Pit Abominations. He does also have the Gorbel. So the Gorbel can do good against the Hell Pit, but the problem with the Gorbel is he does get ping-ponged a little bit. He oftentimes gets launched around the map and just can't sit on the target. And I think head-to-head, the Hell Pit Abomination probably would beat the Gorbel. His HP pool is just quite a bit higher. He regenerates, and yeah, he's just a beast. His weapon strength is higher as well. We got Morkor the Shadowgave in the back, and we also do have the Manticore caster. Well, that's pretty much what he's for, the Beast caster. So Flock of Doom is quite good against Skaven, but more importantly, people just have been using the Manticore summons. They seem to be very cost-effective and have certainly carved out a niche in the metagame. So let's get this battle on the way. So Hell Pit Abomination down here is going to be slam jamming all over these Gore Herds, and yeah, the Gore Herds can do a little bit of damage back, but they don't really have that anti-large kit, and they're also going to be getting just shanked in the back by these Gutter Runners with poison here, and that's going to be the terror route. So very good play by Aerocrastic, realizing his opponent was a little bit spread out here, getting it with those Hell Pit Abominations before the archers could get in place, and just getting some good damage. So the Warp Lightning Cannons for now are shooting at the Gore Herds with shields, but they definitely should be switching onto the Gorbel or some of the bigger targets like the Chariots, but I'm sure they will in just a moment. Gutter Runners doing a little bit of kiting, slowing down the army, but of course they are shooting into shielded Gore Herds here in the front line, so it's not going to be the best situation, and it looks like there's going to be a Liber Bubondicus going down on the Bray Shaman, which is a really good choice. If he could actually get that off the battlefield before its second cast of Manticores can go off, that would be super cost effective, and ooh man, look at the damage. So the Chariot does go in there, it gets slapped with the Warp Lightning Cannons in the back, and the Liber Bubondicus just... That one's such a tongue twister. Have you guys ever tried to say that? Just say Liber Bubondicus like 10 times. And look at this. Just as we were joking earlier about the Gorbel, he is being sent into orbit by this Hell Pit Abomination here, so definitely not fun for him. And Skrulk is going to be dropping some rat summons, and that is one of the main reasons and kind of why this sort of Skaven style of play works is because of Lord Skrulk, right? So you have like clan rats and just, or even got slaves in the front line, and they're just going to get beaten up. But with all of those summons, you can really get away with having a bad front line, because from there you can just buffer it with Plague Monks and the Vermintide ability, and it's very, very strong. So the Manticore has been sent into the back. It's going to be chewing on these guys, but the Clan Rats should be able to fend it off. The Clan Rats with spears. Helped Abominations have stayed relatively safe away from some of the bows, and it looks like the first volleys of the Ungor Raiders are getting in here, and it's probably going to be shooting at the Helped Abomination, who hasn't taken much damage yet. The Butchers of Kalkengard and the other Minotaurs with shields are going to be charging in, and very, very good play here from Aerocrastic in the backline, using the Gutter Runners to get up and around the back and just sneak up on the Ungor herds. And that's what's really cool about Gutter Runners. They're a bit of a hybrid unit, right? They have combat stats in the 20, 26, 28, and 28 with poison and melee, and they're just hunting down the Ungors, therefore removing the threat to the Helped Abominations, which is really going to give them some, heavy-duty free range. So in the middle fight, Lord Skrulk is going to be going fisticuffs with Morkar the Shadowgave. Gorherds here are, doing a pretty good job beating up the Skaven slaves and the Clan Rats. And it's a little bit of a dangerous situation. Many things have gone very well for Aerocrastic. He's been able to kind of compromise the back line. He was able to finish off the caster pretty much. I think he shattered it before it was able to get its second Manticore summon, but the balance of power is still relatively even. The Chaos Spawn and other troops here doing a pretty good job kind of helping in the main fight. And you can see a lot of the Skaven chaff units are buckling, and this is one of the big risks of Skrulk in general. If you send him in the front line and let him go fisticuffs, sometimes the other Skaven around him, perhaps seeing an opportunity for themselves to climb up in the favor of the Council of 13, will leave him alone to die, and now he's kind of getting pounded by the Chaos Spawn and some of these other troops here, but Helped Abominations aren't far behind. These bad boys are going to be rushing in, and they're going to be just space jamming some of these guys right here. But Helped Abominations, yeah, definitely pretty much a hard counter. Oh my god, you see that Gorbel? He was just like, he bounced off the Helped, then like flew to the right, just getting straight up. God, what is that game? I'm not, like, ping pong is like kind of, I guess, like a back and forth thing, but that was more like pinball, where he like goes and hits like a bumper and then gets like pushed out in another direction. But anyways, in the back line, this Manticore is doing a really good job, and some of the Gorherds have actually gotten around the back and have been able to compromise this Warp Lightning Cannon with the help of the Manticore. Some of the Gutter Runners are going to jump in there, and they probably will free it up, but the Warp Lightning Cannon definitely took a little bit of damage and did lose one model there. So Ungor Raiders are going to be shooting into this blob here. The Minotaurs are just bouncing back and forth, but they're also taking quite a bit of damage from some of the Clan Rats and the other assets here. But those double Helped Abominations are going to be so tough to take down. Now, as far as ammunition, these Ungor Raiders here in the back have about 60%. And the other groups are coming back. These ones have 40 models, and it looks like the Gutter Runners over here have done a pretty good job. And over in the Shadow Realm, we do actually have some Gorherds with shields chasing down these Gutter Runners. So the little rats are going to be running, and it looks like Aerocrastic has taken off the ammunition or the fire at will, just to make sure he's not wasting ammunition shooting at the Gorherd. So very, very veteran play right there. So back in the main fight, these Sensor Bears are now going to be working on Morkar the Shadowgave, and they have pretty good damage output. They should be able to wear him down over time. The Minotaurs in the back are getting a little bit crunk, just jumping around, just trying to shut down the Warp Lightning Cannon, but wherever they go, these Helped Abominations are just waiting and able to chase them down, and neither of them are very close to their healing caps. So if this Helped Abomination, the other one, isn't burst down, they're going to be healing up quite a bit. I mean, thousands and thousands of HP. So the Gorbel, having returned from his exodus in the gallery of being ping-ponged about, looks like he's going to be taking a charge and getting launched again. And man, how can that not be fixed? There must be some like real issue with the Gorbel's model or something that lets him get punted like that. I mean, that's been an issue since, I think, Warhammer 1, right? He used to get punted just all over the place, and he still does. So in the main fight, we got Morkar the Shadowgave. He's going to be fighting against these Skaven slaves, as well as some of the Plague Monk summons. So Skrulk dropping a lot of summons, but the Beastmen definitely behind on the bounce of power. The Butchers of Kalkengard have been pushed off over here. They're going to be running into the distance, and the Gorherds are going to be attacking the Gun Runners here, finally able to kind of stabilize this backline situation here. The Ungor still, unfortunately for the Beastmen player, do get pushed off, and that is going to be all she wrote. So a little bit of a bow out there, but truly we get to see the strength of the double Helped Abominations and the Gun Runners getting into the backline and dropping some heavy harass. So yeah, they did a pretty good job. 58-21 and 155 on these Gutter Runners right here. And yeah, they're really, really good at the Beastmen matchup. Now, personally, I think that if you get a lot of Centaurs, just the standard buckler and I guess spear variant, they have like a buckler and a spear. Those guys are very cost effective at controlling Gutter Runner play. But even still, if you are playing the Skaven, you can simply fall back into your own ranks, put the Gutter Runners behind, let's say, Skaven Slave Spears or Clan Rats with Spears, and use them as kind of a defensive gunner unit, so that when people are cycle charging you, you apply the poison, and it makes it a little bit tougher for them to get away. But the double Helped Abomination is very, very strong, and the Warp Lightning Cannon is, yeah, pretty much, it's a solid pick. But yeah, as far as the Beastmen army, I think it, had a lot of good elements to it. I just don't think that Minotaurs with shields or Minotaurs in general are very good in this matchup. The Skaven have the Warp Lightnings, they have a ton of cheap spear units, and it just seems like Minotaurs don't really pay for themselves in this matchup. Now, against like Doom Wheels, and maybe that's what he was expecting and had been his anecdotal experience against facing off against Skaven, was that he faced off against a lot of Doom Wheels and Plague Furnaces, and arguably I guess the Minotaurs could be pretty good for that. If someone is going to be going for a Mortis Engine style play with Skaven using Plague Furnaces and Doom Wheels, the Minotaurs are a very kind of solid counter in that situation. Granted, most people who are going to be playing that Death Star of Skaven against Beastmen are going to also bring Helped Abominations, which are a pretty good natural counter, but yeah, it was a very solid build here from Aerocrastic, and yeah, I did like the Beastmen build. Just the Gorbel, I mean, I guess bringing the Gorbel isn't bad. He still did quite a bit of damage to the Helped Abominations, as you can see, despite the healing. But yeah, I just felt like the Minotaurs didn't pay for themselves. So on that note, very well played to Aerocrastic. And guys, he just recently set up a YouTube channel. So if you guys are looking to see the, I believe he's going to be doing live games and post-game analysis, all kinds of stuff from the one of the ever-chosen champions, make sure to head on over there. There will absolutely be a link in the comment section below. And on that note, let's go ahead and take a look at a Beastmen build that, might be pretty good against a Skaven. I think it's always helpful to do these post-game analysis here. So we're going to jump over here to the custom battles, take a look, and where are the Beastmen? I do think Beastmen have some pretty good tools against Skaven, so let's go ahead and find them first. That's going to be the first challenge of the day. So I think Morkar the Shadowgate, the Chaos Spawn are just so damn powerful. You can go with Malagor and summon Cygors, but Cygors aren't that great against Skaven to begin with. So you want him, you want that, and as far as that, I mean, the Manticores are very good against Skaven as well, so there's a lot of tools there, but honestly, Shadows can be okay as well. Beast is really strong. Death can be good. I mean, you can go with the massive kind of Fear Bombs on the Skaven, which can be pretty impactful. And Lore of the Wild is pretty good, but those Manticores are just so juicy. I mean, it didn't get onto the best targets, but they're just so disruptive. But for now, let's go ahead and go with Death. So we're just going to put him on foot. We don't want him to be a big target for Helped Abominations and Warp Lightning Cannon, so we're probably going to get Aspected the Dread Knight, and Doom and Darkness won't get rid of these spells. So Spirit Leech is going to be very good against Skrulk, and from here you can actually overcast Doom and Darkness and pretty much like mass route all of these Skaven slaves immediately, which I think is very strong. So let's go ahead and build army. So we'll get the Blackhorns Ravagers. We're going to get kind of a frontal core of these guys here. They put up a really good fight against most Skaven infantry. I mean, I don't think you need Bestigors and heavy hitting troops. You can mix in one here and there, but we're also going to get a couple of Ungors. So these guys are actually going to be Vanguard and also used to screen out Gutter Runners. So we're going to kind of sneak up and around the flanks, go very, very wide and aggressive, and just Vanguard them behind the Skaven army, because these guys can chase down Gutter Runners all day. They have shields. Yeah, they do the trick for sure. From here, we're going to get a couple Ungor Raiders. I think these guys are going to be solid. Now, we do also have to respect the Doom Wheel and that sort of play. And the Helped, we have answers for the Helpets with 4 Ungor Raiders for the most part. We're going to get a couple Centaurs. We'll get some Poison Hounds as well, because it's really important to get that battlefield control. And now we need a little bit of anti-heavy. So from here, we have a pretty decent little force, but we need something that can really punish the bigger targets. Now, Butchers of Kalkengard are okay, but I think we're going to be going with Centaurs with throwing axes. I mean, Chariots can do trick against infantry, but not so much against the bigger threats. And that's where kind of the Gorbel does come into play here. But the great weapons do okay, but I think we're going to go with the throwing axes. They serve a bit of dual purpose. They're going to be very good against Doom Wheels, good against Plague Furnaces, and also pretty decent against Helped Abominations. That gives you 6 really powerful missile units to focus down Helped Abominations, a pretty decent little infantry core, and the Gore Herds can beat down most Skaven infantry with the exception of Storm Vermin, but with the help of Morkar, the Chaos Spawn Summons, and the Deathcaster, I think you should be able to win that fight. So from here, you could just use the remnants of your money to kind of, chevron these guys up. It doesn't really matter too much. But anyways, very well played to both Nippon no Dachi Samurai and Aerocrastic for sending in the replay. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this game. We will see you guys next time. Take care.